Divine understanding, where wisdom meets peace. Three men who never died in the Bible.
In the Bible, we find mention of three men who in some mysterious way never experienced physical death. Their stories intrigue us and leave us questioning who these men are, as did they escape death. Before we start, remember to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all the news related to biblical themes. Our first biblical character is Enoch, with reference to the Old Testament in the book of Genesis. His name resonates through the centuries as a mysterious figure. Although his story is mentioned previously, his actions and relationship with the divine left a permanent mark on the sacred narrative. According to the Bible, Enoch lived for 365 years and walked with God. This most significant short sentence reveals that Enoch had a close and intimate relationship with the Creator. His faith and righteousness were remarkable, especially in a time when wickedness prevailed in the land. Despite the lack of information, we present Jewish tradition and some apocryphal texts, such as the Book of Enoch, that provide additional insights into the life of Enoch. According to these sources, Enoch was a prophet and received divine revelations. He was inspired to predict future events and to proclaim justice and moral correction. Enoch is also mentioned as the father of Methuselah, a biblical character who lived to an exceptional age of 969 years. Jewish tradition regards Enoch as a spiritual teacher and one of the most prominent pre-flood patriarchs. He also acted as a celestial scribe, recording humanity's actions before God. According to some legends, Enoch was transformed into Metatron after his ascension to the heavens. Just like Enoch, we can learn to walk with God in our daily lives. We can seek his guidance in the midst of difficulties and trust in his wisdom and decision-making and live righteously in the face of the world's challenges. Our next protagonist is the prophet Elijah, one of the most emblematic and fascinating characters in the Old Testament. His history was marked by miracles and powerful confrontations, and most notably by his rapture alive to heaven without experiencing physical death. Elijah emerged at a critical moment in Israel's history. The people had turned away from inspiration to the true God. The nation was immersed in idolatry and injustice, and Elijah was sent by God to call the people and restore the covenant with the Lord. The prophet Elijah was known for his courage and boldness in the face of the leaders and false prophets of his time. He confronted King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, who promoted idolatry and persecuted God's followers. He made a challenge among the prophets of Baal. And the God of Israel on Mount Carmel sends fire from heaven, demonstrating his supremacy. After this remarkable demonstration of divine power, he had to flee the wrath of Jezebel. On his journey, he experienced God's provision through a raven that fed him and a pot of flour and oil that never ran out. Elijah continued to be used by God to perform miracles such as resurrecting a widow's son and bringing rain after a period of drought. At the climax of his story, Elijah was taken to heaven in a whirlwind of fire. Without experiencing physical death, this event is known as the rapture of Elijah. While Elisha, his disciple and successor, observed, Elijah was enveloped by the divine presence and taken up to the heavens, leaving behind only his cloak. Elijah's importance goes beyond his individual story. He represents the prophetic voice of God, a defender of truth and justice. Elijah also symbolizes the hope that God can perform extraordinary miracles and reverse challenging situations. His story reminds us of the importance of remaining steadfast in our faith even when we face opposing challenges. Elijah inspires us to trust in the power of God and to seek His will in all nationalities. Finally, we look at Melchizedek. In the biblical narrative, Melchizedek emerges as an enigmatic and intriguing figure. It is referenced in the book of Genesis and later referenced in the book of Hebrews in the New Testament. The story of Melchizedek raises questions about his origin, role, and lack of information about his death. Priest of the Most High God, he meets with Abraham, the founding patriarch of Israel, after a military victory and blessed. This is notable because according to tradition, the superior always blesses the inferior. Therefore, the fact that Melchizedek blesses Abraham indicates his authority and superior position, establishing him as a priest of great importance and reverence. This peculiar meeting triggers a series of speculations and interpretations over the centuries. One of the most notable features is its lack of recorded genealogy. Unlike other biblical characters, there is no mention of their family background or priestly lineage. This lack of genealogical information leads to the idea that Melchizedek was a temporal figure without beginning or end, possibly pointing to the modernity of his priesthood. In the book of Hebrews, the author makes reference to Melchizedek and establishes parallels between him and Jesus Christ. He described Melchizedek as someone without a father, without a mother, and without a genealogy, who has no beginning of days or end of life, but is made like the Son of God. Remains a priest. This association suggests that he is a type or prefiguration of Jesus Christ, an eternal priest whose priesthood transcends human limitations. The lack of information about Melchizedek's death is another intriguing element. The Bible does not mention its end or passage in the same way as other characters. This mission has led to different interpretations over the centuries, with some recalling that Melchizedek did not experience physical death but transcended into a spiritual or celestial existence. Although information about the Melchizedek are limited, his figure remains as a symbol of mystery and priestly authority. It represents a higher priesthood prior to the institution of the Levitical priesthood and anticipates the role and person of Jesus Christ as the perfect and eternal high priest. The story of Melchizedek invites us to contemplate the transcendental nature of the priesthood and consider the grandeur of the ministry of Jesus Christ. These stories inspire us to pursue a deeper relationship with the divine, and to seek a life of righteousness and trust in God's provision in all situations. If you liked this video and want to continue exploring fascinating biblical stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. See you in the next video, and may grace and divine wisdom always be present in your life.